And welcome, sports fans, to today's Roundtable. Glad you joined us. We've got an exciting week of high school athletics, certainly over this weekend, as we just finished up the semifinal round of the district tournaments last night in high school football in the area, and quite a few teams from the area advancing into district championships to be taking place next Friday night throughout the area, and as well as volleyball state championships taking place today here throughout Saturday, and teams from across the state coming together at Cape Girardeau at the Show Me Center to compete for state championships here on Saturday. The semifinal round took place yesterday, so certainly a big day for volleyball and the state championships this afternoon, actually this morning, going through later this afternoon into the evening with state champions to be crowned in high school volleyball. And we've got some updates on that and also a preview of the state championships taking place today up there in Cape Girardeau. And also we're going to take a look at some college football, our local teams, and where they stand in the standings here late in the season. Our local teams, Southeast Missouri State and Arkansas State, having some pretty good years. We'll take a look at who their opponents are this weekend, as well as where they stand in their respective conferences, and a little preview of the NFL week 9, I believe it is, maybe week 10 already. But we'll take a look at those games taking place today as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the games that took place last night throughout the area in high school football. First, starting off with Class 1, District 1, the top seeded Valley Catholic Warriors getting a decisive victory over the Malden Green Waves, 73-6, and Valley back to their winning ways again this year as the top seed in the district. And Malden coming up with a nice victory last week against Charleston on the road, just coming up a bit short up in St. Genevieve last night. But nonetheless, a fine ending to the season for Malden, getting that first-round victory into the semifinals. But Valley Catholic moving on to the district championship, where they've had good company. It's certainly a good company for the Valley Catholic Warriors in that district championship. And in the other semifinal, it was second-seeded Hayti defeating third-seeded St. Vincent decisively, 60-14. And the defending not only district champions but state champions, Hayti Indians, back in the district championship once again this year. And what a battle that'll be, Valley Catholic versus Hayti. That will take place at Valley at St. Genevieve. And Hayti coming off that state championship, one of their probably their toughest opponent last year, even though they just steamrolled through their schedule last year, was Valley Catholic in the district championship. And that was a 21-7 score last year. And Valley gave Hayti their best game last year by far. Typically, it was about a 40-point spread for the Hayti Indians throughout last year's schedule, but with the exception of Valley Catholic being 21-7. So Valley's going to be hungry for that district title, getting it back to Valley there at St. Genevieve. And Hayti, of course, wants to defend that crown, not only that state crown, but certainly the district championship crown. They'll have to do it on the road up at St. Genevieve next week, so we'll be looking forward to that. Certainly, that'll be probably the game of the week there in high school football next week in Class 1. And Scott City Rams, the top seeded Scott City Rams, take on New Madrid County Central and got a victory there, 52-14. We'll talk more about that game in a moment, but Scott City advancing with certainly an impressive victory over New Madrid. Caruthersville, let's move to the other Class 2 District 1 semifinal. Second-seeded Caruthersville over third-seeded St. Pius X, and big victory there, 40-29, as Caruthersville advances on to another district championship next week. Also, we have in the Class 3 District 1 semifinals, and a game that we brought to you live last night down in Kennett. It was top-seeded Kennett over fourth-seeded Potosi, 30-12, and Kennett getting a decisive victory there last night at their home field at Metz Cherry Stadium in Kennett. And we got some highlights of that. Let's take a look at the highlights from last night. And first, starting off, first play from scrimmage for the Kennett Indians, not only for the Indians, for the whole game, a sweep to Marcavon Harrell. He gets to the sideline, takes it all the way in for the score. First play from scrimmage, touchdown Indians, a great start for Kennett in that game last night. And now we see here on the next offensive drive, a little handoff to Harrell. He gets the pylon for another score, so 2 quick scores for the Indians. Now into the second quarter. Potosi finally getting some momentum offensively. Gives the ball up to Wade Mercil. Gets a tough touchdown there to get the first score for the Trojans. And still in the second quarter here, Bodie Ellis dropping back. Hits Carter Maddox for a big gain there in the passing game. And here we got another handoff. Marcavon Harrell finds the hole. Gets the touchdown right at the end of the first half. So an impressive showing by the Indians in the first half. And now Jordan Jarrett getting a tough run here. Breaks the tackle. Goes all the way in for the score. An impressive game for Jordan Jarrett on both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively. Getting a big run there. Had 75 yards on the night. Or 94 yards on the night, excuse me. And here another handoff, Bodie Ellis with the keeper. Gets the sideline, cuts it up into midfield, and for a big gain for the Indians. And here we see late in the fourth quarter, just an easy score there for Wade Mercil. Had just over 100 yards rushing for the Trojans. And there you have it. Kennett with the final victory, 30-12. And Kennett cruising to another district championship. And Marcavon Harrell had quite the game last night, 175 yards rushing. And Jordan Jarrett had a great backup performance there, rushing the ball as well with 94 yards. So, those two are tough. Jordan Jarrett and Marcavon Harrell, they played both sides as well. They played defense, and Jordan Jarrett had some big plays on defense as well. So, all around, great effort from the Kennett Indians last night. Got off to a great start. Marcavon Harrell with that long run to get the Indians started in their first play from scrimmage and just cruised to that victory. Good defensive effort as well. Potosi, a very physical team, just played that bunch formation, 3 backs, and did a lot of misdirection, fake handoffs and whatnot. But Wade Mercil, I tell you, that's a tough kid for Potosi. Big, strong back. Had, I think, 106 yards rushing on the night and had about 27 carries. So, he carried the load for the Trojans last night. But Kennett decisive in their victory, moving on to that district championship next week. And they will take on the St. Genevieve Dragons, who had quite the finish last night. And St. Genevieve defeating Park Hill Central 24-22. And it's apparent, I didn't look specifically into the ending of the game, but I think St. Genevieve won on a field goal. You hardly ever see that in high school football, especially in our area. Winning on a field goal because Park Hill Central had a 22-21 lead in the fourth quarter. I knew that from the game last night. We got an update from the game there at Kennett last night, and the score ended up being 24-22. So apparently St. Genevieve won the game on a field goal. I tell you, talk about a dramatic finish with a field goal. I tell you, anytime you line up for a field goal in high school football, you just, oh man, you're just sitting on needles there because I tell you, that's uncharted territory. But apparently they pulled it off, and St. Genevieve advances on with a victory against Park Hills Central. Park Hills defeated St. Genevieve pretty decisively earlier in the year, but St. Genevieve's come on strong here in the last half of the year, and we'll move on to take on the Kennett Indians in that district championship. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And in Class 4, District 1, the top-seeded Farmington Knights over the 4th-seeded Festus and won with a shutout victory, 16-0. Farmington will advance on to the Class 4 District 1 championship. They will take on the Cape Central Tigers. Cape Central Tigers getting a victory over 3rd-seeded Hillsboro last night in Cape, and a 48-8 victory for the Cape Central Tigers in that contest. So Cape Central kind of have a quiet year. Coach Kent Gibbs, going to the Cape Central Tigers this year, kind of struggling through the regular season with a losing record, but I'll tell you, they put it together here in the playoffs, here in the district tournament, find themselves in the district championship with Farmington next Friday night, although it is at Farmington. Top-seeded Jackson in the Class 5 District 1 semifinal, and they roll once again 55-14 over Seckman in that semifinal contest, and that's been pretty much the story of the week. Each week is Jackson getting a big, decisive victory over their opponent. No different last night as they move on to the championship, where they will take on Fox. Second-seeded Fox defeated third-seeded Poplar Bluff 41-25. Poplar Bluff having to make that long road trip up to South St. Louis and Arnold to take on Fox High School, and Poplar Bluff falls, and their season comes to an end with that loss last night at Fox. And it's going to be first time in a while we haven't seen a district championship in Class 5 District 1 between Jackson and Poplar Bluff. We've been used to that year in and year out, and it's kind of went both ways some years. And it's going to be a little different this year. Jackson will host Fox for that Class 5 District 1 title next week. And those are the football games from last night. We'll talk more about those matchups going ahead in our next segment. But take a look at the volleyball games taking place on Friday as well. Advance looking for a second straight state championship in high school volleyball. And take a look at their semifinal matchups where 4 teams in each class. They play round robin in the semifinal round, so each team will play the other 3 teams in the semifinal round to determine the championship game and the third place game. So take a look at the semifinal matchups for the Advanced Lady Hornets yesterday, winning against Billings 25-9 and 25-11, cruising through that semifinal matchup. And take a look at their other matchup with Calvary Northern, also winning in 2 straight sets, 25-18 and 25-11, cruising through that victory as well. And then their third semifinal matchup was over Santa Fe, getting a 2-set victory, 25-14 and 25-22. So Advance sweeping their semifinal round, going into the state championship later on today, and they will take on Santa Fe. We're also going to talk more about that in our next segment as well. So Advance setting up well for a state championship once again this year, and we'll take on Santa Fe coming up. So we'll take a look at all those state championships taking place today in classes 1 through 4 in Cape Girardeau at the Show Me Center coming up in just a moment. So it's going to be a big weekend potentially here in southeast Missouri. And take a look at that Potosi-Kennett game that we broadcast last night. You can catch that on a replay basis here on YHC this weekend, Saturday Saturday at noon coming up, and also Sunday afternoon at 3. We'll probably play it a couple more times other than those times, but you can count on that Saturday at noon and Sunday at 3. You can catch it on a replay basis on demand online. Go to our website at yhctv.com. It's there. Go to our YouTube channel there as well, and even our Facebook page, as we brought a Facebook Live last night. You can watch that on demand on any of those online platforms. So good game to catch. Catch it right here on YHC today, Saturday at noon and Sunday at 3. And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with those district championships to look forward to next week. A little bit more on those, as well as some storylines from last night, as well as those volleyball state championships taking place here today in Cape Girardeau. We'll take a look at that coming up.
At Glen Sain, we're going to sell more Chevrolet cars and trucks between now and January the 1st than we've ever sold before. Listen to this. New Chevrolet Malibu, $19,458, $99 down, $299 a month. A 2019 Silverado, list price $48,080, your cost $34,970. What a savings. GlenSainParagould.com, best price, best service. Glen Sain, God bless our troops.
And welcome back, and take a look at some storylines from last night in the area. First, starting off with the Kennett Indians, extending their undefeated season last night with that district semifinal victory over Potosi. And Harrell with a big night, scoring 3 touchdowns on the night, and also racking up 175 rushing yards on the night. Marcevon Harrell, seems like each week we're coming in and talking about the big game he had on a Friday night. And he just steps it up even on a bigger level when it comes to these big games in the district tournaments. So Marcevon Harrell with a big night. And Jordan Jarrett had a big night as well, 94 yards rushing. Bodie Ellis had a big night. Didn't really go to the air last night. Didn't really have to, but when they did, they got a big play to Carter Maddox that went for a big game. And I think he had 42 passing yards on the night. So when they did go to the passing game, got some good yardage there. The defense come up big. I tell you, it's a big, physical Potosi team, and just run that ball in the trenches last night, it seemed like. And Kennett had their work cut out for them, especially that defensive line, taking those A-gap runs from certainly Wade Marcel. But Kennett had a big showing last night with that semifinal victory over Potosi. So Kennett, I was reading last night, the Dunkland Democrat, that they tied their season win record. They've got, what is that going to be now? 11 wins on the year, tying the school record for wins in a season. Certainly got a great opportunity to surpass that for this year, so we'll be looking forward to that potentially over the next few weeks. So Kennett moving on to another district championship, and take a look at that championship game next week. They will host St. Genevieve for that district championship game, and they played St. Genevieve earlier in the year, got a 33-0 victory on the road at St. Gen. So Kennett will be certainly the favorite going into that game, especially on their home field there at Metz Cherry Stadium next Friday night. So we'll be looking forward to that, seeing what happens, and we will bring you that game here on YHC next Friday night. On the 15th, the Class 3 District 1 Championship will be live right here on Channel 21 on New Wave Cable, as well as YHCTV.com and Facebook Live. The St. Genevieve Dragons taking on the Kennett Indians, and we will broadcast that Class 3 District 1 Championship live right here on YHC. So a big game to look forward to. Hopefully you'll join us for that game next Friday night right here on YHC, or show up at Metz Cherry Stadium ready to cheer on the Kennett Indians. They'll certainly need the support, and going for that second straight district championship. And moving on to some other storylines, Hayti and Valley Catholic both advanced, setting up a district championship rematch from last year. We talked about it in the last segment that they faced off last year, where Hayti moved on and just destroyed the competition all the way to a state championship. And I tell you, Valley Catholic gave them their biggest fit last year. It seemed like they rolled with a 40 to 50 point margin each week, except for the Valley Catholic Warriors. It was a 21-7 victory, and Valley returning a better team last year and bringing a lot back, and Hayti the reverse, the opposite, losing a lot of seniors on that talented bunch last year, but certainly bringing back a talented bunch this year. Trayvon Thomas comes to mind as a sophomore quarterback. Trey Stevenson in the backfield is a big running back. It's really paved the way for the Hayti Indians this year. So a lot of talent still remaining on that Hayti roster. Just probably Valley returning with a lot more of their talent from last year's impressive team. But will be a great battle between these two, and we'll be up at St. Genevieve at Valley Catholic High next week, next Friday night. Should be a great battle. Hayti looking to defend that district crown, and not only the district crown, but the state championship for this season. And certainly Valley want to reclaim what they pretty much know to be as theirs, is a district championship in Class 1, District 1. They've had quite the run until Hayti over the last couple of years put together one of the greatest runs we've seen. So should be a great matchup next Friday night at Valley, and we'll see what happens. Could be the game of the week up there in St. Genevieve next Friday night. And taking a look at Cape Central. I tell you, Cape Central has got rallied off some nice wins. They beat Hillsboro last night decisively, and they will face Farmington for that district championship next week. We'll be at Farmington, so Cape Central will have to go on the road for their first district game on the road in Farmington. Farmington's looked really good. I think they played earlier in the year, and I think Farmington got that victory. So Farmington certainly will be the favorite. Farmington, I think, has only got about one loss on the year. So, Farmington looks certainly capable of pulling off that district championship at home. But will be certainly the game of the year for the Cape Central Tigers to try to claim that Class 4 District 1 title. And Coach Kent Gibbs, longtime coach there at Sykeston, goes to Cape Central this year. And he's put together a pretty fine season, even though they've struggled in the regular season, getting a couple district wins and playing in the district championship. You can't ask for more than that from a struggling season, playing under 500 in the regular season, right at 500 to potentially play in a district championship. So Cape Central coming on strong here late in the year. So good luck to them next week in Farmington. And Scott City impressing with a rout of New Madrid County Central. I tell you, I was billing this going back to last week as potentially the game of the week. I thought New Madrid was pretty strong going into the end of the year, had quite the talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And Scott City, we haven't been able to see Scott City in this part of the Boot Hill here with some teams that we cover, but just a little, just kind of unaware of, Scott City and how good they really are. They really gave Crothersville a good battle going back the last couple of weeks. So the Scott City Rams team is for real. They took it to New Madrid last night, got a decisive victory, and will set up another rematch with the Crothersville Tigers. And that'll be a good one to watch, as they got a narrow victory over Crothersville a couple weeks back. And we'll host Crothersville for that Class 2 District 1 Championship next week up in Scott City. So that probably will be the game of the week next week. Well, certainly along there with Hayton Valley. There's going to be a lot of good games next week, and this will be one to look out for. They had a great battle a couple weeks back, and Scott City got that victory. So Crothersville looking to try to get back on top. Crothersville's had a great run in that Class 2 District 1. Malden had, or it seemed like Crothersville had a great run. Then Malden had about their 4 or 5 year run. And now Crothersville back on top of that district the last couple of years. But Scott City's really put together a fine season this year. And got some talented players on there. Comes to mind Stratman. A couple names escape me already. But got some really nice talent on that Scott City team. And Crothersville, of course, got their fair share of talent as well. So that'll take place up in Scott City next Friday night for that Class 2 District 1 Championship game. And now, let's just go over those district championships one more time. Class 1 District 1 Valley Catholic hosting Hayti up in St. Genevieve at Valley High next week. Scott City hosting Crothersville in that Class 2 District 1 Championship. In the Class 3 district title, in the game that we'll bring to you live on YHC next week, Kennett hosting St. Genevieve. In Class 4 District 1, top seed of Farmington hosting Cape Central. And the Class 5 District 1 championship game, that'll be the Jackson Indians hosting the Fox Warriors. I think they are the Warriors up there at Fox. So certainly a different Class 5 District 1 championship we've seen. It's typically been Jackson and Poplar Bluff, but Fox defeating Poplar Bluff, and Jackson will host Fox for that district championship up at the Pit in Jackson next week. And one of the big storylines in this area this weekend is Advance looking for another state championship in Class 1 for the state of Missouri. Advance won the Class 1 state championship last year, returning pretty much all of their team for this year, and they've rolled through their schedule. I think they've only got 2 losses on the year in their schedule, and looking to repeat here today as they will take on Santa Fe in that Class 1 state championship at 1:30. At 1:30 this afternoon. You can watch that online. Go to mshsaa.tv. Again, that's mshsaa.tv. That's, of course, for the Missouri State High School Activities Association. They are broadcasting those championship games today from the Show Me Center Cape Girardeau. It is a pay-per-view basis. You can go on there and pay, I think it's, I can't remember, about $9 to watch a couple of days worth. I think it's a week pass. You get a weekly pass, I believe it is. Might even be a monthly pass now, but I know for sure it's at least a weekly pass. I actually think it's a monthly pass now for the $9.99. You can pay $9.99, I believe it is, get a monthly pass. You can watch not only the the Advance Lady Hornets play, but also all the teams there at the Show Me Center Cape Girardeau. Again, that is mshsaa.tv. Go online, and it's a pay-per-view basis. Pay with your credit or debit card to give you access to watch that games. It's a simple portal. You go, and it's you log in, and it's pretty much all the states in the country. But click on Missouri live broadcasts, and they'll show you the volleyball matchups that are taking place. Click on that Advanced Santa Fe game, and you can watch it live from Cape Girardeau at the Show Me Center if you don't plan on going yourself, just on a pay-per-view basis through mshsaa.tv. And they rolled through their semifinal matchups, no problem, certainly against Santa Fe. They already played Santa Fe in the semifinals, and looking good for a potential repeat state championship for the Advanced Lady Hornets this afternoon. And let's take a look at those matchups taking place up at Cape Girardeau. As we mentioned, Advance, who comes in with a 34-2 record, just a dominant year for the Lady Hornets, taking on Santa Fe, who's 33-1-3, and certainly that loss coming to advance. So that'll be here Saturday at 1:30 up at the Show Me Center in Cape Girardeau. In Class 2, which is actually already underway this morning, Herman, volleyball powerhouse in Class 2, they're taking on St. Pius X out of Festus, and Herman at 31-6, I believe it is, and then St. Pius at 22-6-2, and that is underway this morning already up there in Cape Girardeau. Now in Class 3, St. Francis Borgia, who comes in at 30-4, will take on Logan Rogersville, who's 33-4. That'll be this evening, Saturday at 7:30. And in Class 4, Nixa, over in Springfield, who is 34-4, will take on Lafayette out of St. Louis Wildwood, who is 30-8, coming into this state championship game. That'll be this afternoon, Saturday at 4:30. So those are the volleyball state championships taking place throughout the day in Cape Girardeau, and some big games to look forward to. And again, you can watch all those games by going to mshsaa.tv on a pay-per-view basis. Log in, pay with your credit or debit card, and you can watch all of these games throughout the day here on Saturday in Cape Girardeau. So a big day, certainly for the Advanced Lady Hornets, potentially going for a repeat state championship, and that's special. Anytime you can not only win a state championship, but repeat 2 years in a row, that is certainly a great accomplishment. It's rare that we see repeat state champions at the high school level, but when it happens, it certainly is special. So good luck to the Advanced Lady Hornets and their state championship game this afternoon against Santa Fe. And we're going to wrap up the football for today. Take a look at the final state rankings. Final state rankings that were released a couple weeks ago. We didn't touch on those, but here are the final state rankings for the season. And the last poll will be when the season's over, totally over after the state championships. We'll get the final poll, but here's the final regular season poll going into the district tournaments last week, and Lincoln pretty much been on top all year at Class 1. In Class 1 for football, followed by Pure City, Thayer at number 3, Mid Buchanan at 4, Hayti at number 5. Hayti finished the last couple of weeks at number 5 in the state poll. Their only loss coming to Thayer, who's up there at number 3. So Hayti there at number 5. Valley Catholic at number 6, only one loss on the year as well. So Hayti Valley Catholic number 5 and 6 in the state will go at it for that Class 1 District 1 championship next Friday night, followed by Marceline, Miller, Adrian, and Scotland County. And for Class 2, Lutheran North on top at number 1. They've spent much of the year at number 2, but Cardinal Ritters having to forfeit their season, and their season's over. Lutheran North moves up to that number 1 spot a couple weeks back, followed by Lathrop, Maryville, Centralia, Ava, Clark County, Lamar, Fairgrove, Summit Christian, and Monroe City. And in Class 3, Blair Oaks have been on top all year at number 1, followed by Odessa, Mount Vernon, Trinity Catholic, the defending Class 3 state champions. The Kennet Indians moving up to number 5 from number 6 there the last week of the poll. So Kennet a top 5 team in the state poll, undefeated. Followed by Center, St. Clair, St. Charles West, Savannah, and Cassville. And a Class 4 state poll, Webb City on top at number 1, followed by Camden, Ladue, West Plains, Smithville, Lebanon, Jeff City, Helias, Bolivar, Platte County, and Farmington. Farmington in that top 10 poll at number 10. And take a look at the Class 5 poll. Fort Zumwalt North on top at number 1, as they have all year long, followed by Jackson. Jackson got into that 2 spot around week 6, week 7, I believe, and held that with an undefeated season. So Jackson Indians right there at the top of that state poll. Followed by Eureka, Chaminade, Carthage, Staley, Raytown, North Kansas City, Battle, and Waynesville. And that's your top 10 poll for Class 5 for the final regular season poll. So we won't see another poll until the season's over. Until after the state championships, we'll have a final poll for the season. But got some quite a few teams there in the state rankings throughout the area. Hayti, Thayer, Valley Catholic, they're in Class 1. Really no teams that are in Class 2 in the area, but you never know. I'm kind of surprised, we wouldn't see potentially Scott City in that poll. We might see that certainly by the end of the year. Scott City or Crosville cracking that top 10 poll in Class 2. Kennett finishing strong. They're at number 5 in Class 3, and certainly Jackson at number 2 in Class 5. So a pretty good handful of teams there still fighting it out in district tournament play going into next week. And we're going to take our last break here, take another break here, and come back and take a look at some college football. We're going to take a look at our local teams, Southeast Missouri State, Arkansas State, where they stand in their conferences and their matchups today, as well as matchups for around the country, as well as the NFL preview for this weekend's games. We'll take a look at that coming up.
If you or your loved one has disabilities that cause you to need a little help, Boot Hill Area Independent Living Services can provide the assistance you need. At Bales, we want you to have control of your life and assist you in thriving in an independent lifestyle. The Consumer Directed Services Program allows you, the consumer, to choose who assists you in conducting your daily activities. Bales serves Stoddard, Dunklin, New Madrid, and Pemiscot counties. Call or visit our office in Kennett to see how we can help you maintain your independence.
Hey folks, it's hot out here, but the deals are even hotter. Like this late model Equinox starting under $300 per month, or a Ford Focus starting $149 per month, or several pre-owned Ford Escapes under $200 per month. Baldwin Ford Lincoln Toyota, home of the lifetime warranty.
The end of summer sales event going on here at Baldwin Ford Lincoln Toyota, with pre-owned RAV4 starting under $200 per month, plus a great selection of Tacomas, 4Runners, and Sienna vans. Baldwin Ford Lincoln Toyota, home of the lifetime warranty.
And welcome back, and now take a look at some college football taking place this weekend. Some big games in conference play taking place this weekend, and in the Big Ten, Maryland at top-ranked Ohio State, 4th-ranked Penn State at 17th-ranked Minnesota. Big Ten matchup there. Vanderbilt at 10th-ranked Florida. I got Baylor's 10th as well. But Baylor at TCU in the Big 12. 2nd-ranked LSU at 3rd-ranked Alabama. Big SEC matchup there, and certainly big ramifications for that SEC Conference Championship. Likely the winner of that will move on to the SEC Championship, likely to take on Georgia. So big matchup there. Tua Tagovailoa, standout quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think it's a 50-50 shot whether he plays today, coming off an ankle injury and actually ankle surgery a couple weeks back. So we'll see there between LSU and Alabama. Jim Burrow certainly a Heisman hopeful for the LSU Tigers, and we'll see what happens. Always a big matchup, and one of the biggest matchups of the year between LSU and Alabama. Also, we got 16th-ranked Kansas State at Texas in the Big 12 Conference. 18th-ranked Iowa at 13th-ranked Wisconsin in the Big 10. Missouri at 6th-ranked Georgia in the SEC. 5th-ranked Clemson at NC State. Iowa State at 9th-ranked Oklahoma in the Big 12. And take a look at our local teams. Eastern Kentucky at SEMO. Nice OVC matchup for the SEMO Redhawks. They are 7.5-point favorites in that matchup against Eastern Kentucky. And right there at the top of their conference as well. And Arkansas State has a bye week this week, so they won't play this weekend. But they're looking pretty strong in their conference there in the Sun Belt Conference as well. So let's take a look at the district standings for the Ohio Valley Conference. Might be a little hard to make out here. But UT Martin, Skyhawks there on top, on top there with the most wins, with 5 wins and 1 loss in the conference. Followed by Austin P, who's 4-1. The Southeast Redhawks, SEMO Redhawks, also at 4-1. So those are your top 3 teams in the conference. The UT Martin Skyhawks, their only loss coming to Southeast Missouri State. So Southeast got a nice victory there against UT Martin, and also Austin P and Southeast Missouri State, all with 1 loss in the conference. Followed by Eastern Kentucky, who is 3-2. Who SEMO is playing today, so hopefully they get a victory there. And followed by Jacksonville State, also at 3-2. Also, we've got Tennessee Tech, who is looks like 2-3. Murray State Racers at 2-4. The Tennessee State Tigers at 1-4, and the Eastern Illinois Panthers at 0-5. So SEMO looking really good in their conference, and hopefully they can finish up with a great run here. Got some tough opponents over the next couple of weeks, but certainly got a chance to potentially maybe have a tie for that Ohio Valley Conference Championships. So got the victor over UT Martin, who stands on top right now. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out for the SEMO Redhawks going forward. But they've certainly got a great shot at finishing strong, potentially for possibly a share of that Ohio Valley Conference Championship. And taking a look at the Arkansas State Red Wolves and their season. Got two divisions in the Sun Belt Conference, but Arkansas State in the Sun Belt West. They're on the bottom, following Louisiana Raging Cajuns, who are 4-1 in the conference, and Arkansas State is follows with a 3-2 record, so sitting in second place there in the Sun Belt West division. The West division of the Sun Belt Conference. So Arkansas State looking all right there. Got a nice victory last week over Louisiana Monroe. So a nice win for the Redhawks there. And not looking too bad in their conference either. They're in the Sun Belt Conference for the Arkansas State Red Wolves. So there you go. Take a look at our local teams, and hopefully SEMO will fare well this weekend. And against Eastern Kentucky, a pretty good favorite there, 7.5 points. You can watch that on ESPN3 online. So they're between SEMO and Eastern Kentucky this afternoon. And let's move on. Take a look at some NFL matchups taking place this weekend. The Lions at the Bears in the NFC North. The Ravens at the Bengals in the AFC North. The Bills at the Browns. The Browns looking to try to get some victories here in the last half of the season. They were one of the highly anticipated teams coming into this year, but really have hit a rough patch. They had a tough, brutal schedule in the first half of the year. Going to be a lighter schedule here in the second half, but the Bills got a pretty stout defense and a decent offense. They're going to be a tough out for the Browns. We'll see what happens there in the AFC. The Chiefs at the Titans. Patrick Mahomes, star quarterback for the Chiefs, is back. He's going to play this weekend after setting out a couple of weeks with a dislocated kneecap. So he'll be back into the lineup for the Chiefs at the Titans in Nashville. So we'll see what happens there in the AFC and his comeback to the field. The Falcons at the Saints in the NFC South. The Giants at the Jets. MetLife Stadium matchup there in New York. The Cardinals at the Buccaneers in the NFC. The Dolphins at the Colts in the AFC. The Panthers at the Packers in the NFC. The Rams at the Steelers in Pittsburgh. The Vikings at the Cowboys for Sunday Night Football. That'll be a big NFC matchup there. I think both teams coming in at 6-3 on the year. So a big matchup there for Sunday Night Football on NBC. And Monday Night Football will be the Seahawks and the 49ers. Big NFC West matchup there. There on Monday Night Football on ESPN. Should be a good one. The 49ers, the only remaining undefeated team at 9-0. And the Seahawks looking to certainly disrupt that with Russell Wilson, an MVP candidate, probably the leading MVP candidate at this point, with 22 touchdowns, only one interception through 9 games. So he's had a great run, and if he keeps it up, he'll likely win that MVP award this season. So that should be a great matchup for Monday Night Football on ESPN, Seahawks and 49ers. So those are your NFL games to look forward to this weekend as well. And that's going to wrap up our Sports Roundtable for today. We do want to leave on a note that you can tune in for our live broadcast next Friday night in that Class 3 District 1 Championship. We're going to bring it live to you right here on YHC. St. Genevieve at Kennett from Metz Cherry Stadium in Kennett. Catch it here on Channel 21, YHCTV.com, and Facebook Live. And we'll bring that live to you from Kennett, that Class 3 District 1 Championship, St. Genevieve versus Kennett. And I look forward to that 7 p.m. next Friday night, the 15th, right here on YHC. So we're looking to follow Kennett pretty much as far as they go. If they go to the state championship, we can't broadcast that. But as far as they go, we intend to follow them and bring their games to you live right here on YHC each week. And that's it for today, and we appreciate you for tuning in as always, and we'll look forward to seeing you next weekend for another roundtable, certainly for that district championship next Friday night in Kennett. And until then, I'm Tyler Wagner. Have yourself a great weekend and another great week next week. Take care, everyone.